having the upside of hitting all 5 members of World Champions, good times.
Well, let's see if the Poppies think picks and bans were their issues in that last game. NRG choosing to ban out Bologna #1, so a bit of a look towards Creed, who, as you said, was looking okay in that last game, so just don't want to let him pilot that Bologna.
And now he's back over to Pappy. It's probably Kamazots is probably the top ban right now.
Yes.
As well as RTO. They're the two. And I think Pappies will probably have to ban both if NRG don't give them the option to ban one. If they take Kamazots now, they can leave RTO up and see if NRG are going to ban it. And then if it doesn't get banned, they have to ban it themselves.
That's the luxury of being first pick, first ban. You sort of get to force the ones that are second to ban it, or else you just get to snag it up, and that's what NRG do. They ban out Scotty and sort of force Poppies to either play against RTO or ban it, which they choose to do.
Cullen for NRG here. I'm expecting just because the top picks and bans at the moment. Oh, sorry, Erlang Shen was the other one that got banned. That's why. It's either Cullen or Erlang Shen. They're going to get one. I'm expecting Pappies will go with Cullen here just to try and answer that one back.
Osiris is the pick that comes out for Poppy, so Cucullen's still available. We do sometimes see Osiris and Cucullen run in conjunction with Osiris in the jungle, so it's certainly possible, but Amuzin Cobb was one of the Game 1 bans that's found a way to slip through to the Poppies.
Tricky situation for Amuzin Cobb against an Erlang Shen, though. The only thing you can do against an Erlang Shen, try and fight him.
Is just do more damage than him.
That's it.
That's kind of
like,
Amuzin Cobb's whole
plan. Get away. Yeah, AMC can't do anything against this. It's like, you're going to stand there, you're going to take damage, so box as hard as you can and try and give as much damage out before you die.
Robin and Kronos picked up for NRG to continue the pressure that we're seeing from that Erlang Shen pick. But Sercat picked up for Poppies. Sercat does a good job getting back there and taking out some of these squishies like Kronos.
Yeah, and it will keep a bit of pressure onto Robin and Erlang Shen too, because you get too far forward. Obviously, the ultimate comes into play, reduces your healing too, which can be impactful at certain stages, especially against Erlang Shen as an example. Interesting, though, is where AMC's going to go. Could it be mid? Could it be in the duo lane? Mr. Nazer or Warchi? I'm not sure. I honestly don't know.
It is still a flex option that the Poppies have. Poppies are looking, though, towards Iraffer, it would seem. They banned out both Geb and Sobek, and then they pick up Soul for themselves. So you got your answer, Hindu man. Soul going to be picked up for him. Probably more than likely go in the middle lane than AMC and do.
More than likely, but you never know. That's why you got to be very careful with that as a caster, because sometimes you're like, you know, it's definitely going to happen, and you're wrong.
You get toe-lead, right? Didn't he say there was no way that...
There's no way.
No chance, and then immediately
Morrigan pick
gets me.
finally for NRG, and one thing you've got an issue with Sercat is that if you pick Sercat, you should ban away the Morrigan in case the enemy team does it. We've seen Pretty Prime for Obey do this countless times. Whenever a Sercat was picked by the enemy team or his own team, he'd lock in Morrigan, so they get 2 of them.
Yeah, this lets them have Robin and Sercat on their own team, or Erlang Shen and Sercat. It's very flexible for them, and Morrigan herself also does plenty of damage. Susano picked up to also come over here. So are we seeing then support Osiris?
I don't think they're going to run with a full-on support here is what I'm going to expect. Sercat probably going to be the support, I'm going to say. Susano jungle? We'll see. We'll see. I don't know what Draco Marine's going to run here, because it's more like, what will Draco play? I know Dalo can play. Dalo can play them all, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be Creed on Osiris against the Erlang Shen matchup. Let's find out.
You call it. Creed does take the Osiris, and Draco Marino choosing to take Sercat. This is something that I believe we actually saw Raffer doing at one point, so it's going up against Raffer, who's quite familiar with it, as we saw him have some success with it before. Draco Marino going to be piloting Sercat. All 5 members of Poppies over here in this right-hand side to see who they can catch out, but NRG had 2 wards over there, so they knew.
Warded up, and so NRG are like, all right, have fun in our side of the jungle. Nothing's up anyway. So you can all run back, and they'll count how many people go back to. That's the other thing of good experienced teams. They'll count how many people they see back over the wards again. And I've noticed that as soon as they all step over the wards again, NRG move forward a little bit more in their own jungle to make sure that remnants were left behind.
Stupid damage coming out from Ganesh in the early game. Draco Marino taking a good chunk of it.
He's got 1 damage and ability, man. Give him a break.
You like supports, Hindu, so of course you're fine with it.
To be fair, I think Ganesh has only got 1 damage and ability. Like, his ultimate is more for zone than anything else. His 1 is his only form of damage, and the cooldown is long enough. Give him a break.
We'll give Raffer a break, and Emilito's going to have a break over here in that dual lane.
Okay.
Our Draco Marino is the one that's going to try and 2v1 against Emilito, and he's coming down and taking some of the jungle from NRG. So again, there's a lot of flexibility in these early game starts that we're seeing. I like this because it's someone like Sercat who jungles on Draco Marino. It's essentially like the 2 junglers start we sometimes see.
Well, this start here was, if you actually looked at what Pappy's on the right-hand side too, they took their speed and blue, then went to lane. So what we're actually seeing in this game is a sort of different strategy where start in the jungle, then go to your lane buffs. We saw it in dual lane most of the time, do red into purple into lane, but we never really saw speed into blue into lane. We've not seen that for a while, but PAP's recognized that NRG are going to be the ones to outpressure them more than likely, so why not play safe and start our buffs and make sure we don't get them stolen at the beginning of the game. So this has kept PAP's even for now, if not ahead, because Draco Marino went in the enemy jungle, stole away the red and the purple.
It likely will help keep Imolito behind. They have the pressure in that side. They took those buffs. So see Imolito coming all the way back to those back Harpies to try and get some farm since he missed out on some on his own side of the jungle. Even now, Poppy's coming over to try and get these oracles, and it looks like the dual lane side of the map is where this really is working out for them, where they're having the aggression.
And the game now at the beginning is actually more mind games than anything else. The decisions you make of where you start impact the rest of, at least the start of the game for a substantial amount of time. Emilito's now going to deal in a 2v1, being behind against a Circuit and an Amusan Carb. I tell you something though, if he wouldn't have got that damage off of the stun, he would have been dead there for sure. I'm surprised they grouped up, and I'm surprised I didn't see Watchy use his beads to confirm the kill.
That two-man stun did keep him alive, but Imolito does commit at least his beads, so those will be on cooldown for another 140 seconds. And look at Draco Marino just hanging around in those camps, looking to see if Imolito comes sticking his nose back in there, but he does back.
This is what an assassin wants to do. An assassin in the support role isn't necessarily going to go full tanky and survive everything. Yeah, you'll go tankier, but you're not going to survive long. You're more there as bait. You want to draw people into bad situations because you look at a position the whole time. He's playing Circuit. What Circuit got that everybody knows? Ridiculous mobility.
Way too many escapes.
So because having all that mobility, it means you can do stuff like this. Sneak around the back, cheeky, slowly monkey. But you don't want to get hit by a stun. And by using the ambush there to engage that, he could have just walked up. He could have saved the ambush to close the gap once more afterwards. So small mistake, but I do like the idea. Hang in the jungle, keep Emilito second-guessing himself, and you can see that he's having to ward up his own jungle, wasting gold that he would not rather use, especially already being behind.
Imolito, though, is playing these fights very patiently, using those stuns at the right moment to peel for himself, because Raffer's not rotating over to help. Raffer trusts in Imolito to be able to stay alive in that fight. I'm sure if we can hear those comms, Imolito's like, no, I'm fine, over here in that dual lane.
And now the pressure in mid lane from Mr. Naze, I'm surprised to see Dalo go towards his speed, but he's a jungler after all. I would have liked to see maybe pressure the duo a little bit more, just to make sure that Imolito can't come in here and try and defend this red, but end of the day, Imolito had a bit of a tricky situation. He's getting lane froze by Watchy, but Dalo's still under pressure. His speed and will lose it. No, he won't. Bluestone to the rescue.
Dalo does have to back off if he's very, very low, but this is clearly what the plan is from the Poppies. Draco Marino has the hand of the gods, so him roving around and stealing those camps in the jungle was the game plan from minute one. We saw him use it just to confirm that red buff in case Imolito came over and had anything more to say. He is going to rotate over across these wards, and that's why Imolito's backing up. He has that vision, and Poppies likely will know now.
Well, Emilito's feeling what Watchy felt last game. That's exactly what's going on here, and I love what Poppies have done. They're playing the map really well here. They've got themselves a little bit of a lead. It's not huge, but it is a lead, and keeping pressure in Emilito like this, you could get free kills. You will be missed, Emilito. We'll see you in a few minutes. Watchy should push the lane now, by the way. This should be an instant lane push, not a freeze. There we go. Because what you want to do is deny there's all these creeps to the tower, and then the next wave comes in, forces another reset situation, Emilito gets further behind.
And Raffer had just backed, so there was no way he was going to be able to be a part of that engagement or prevent those minions from hitting into the towers. That is farm that's going to be lost for Imolito. Yaman trying to make a rotation over while the backs are coming out from Poppies. Draco Marino not able to get back to base in time, and Yaman seeing double here, turns into Circuit and puts out the poison. Draco knows he's dead. Feels like he was seeing double.
Well, he wasn't lazy backing. That was the good news. When he was lazy backing, but he wasn't shopping.
Right.
I could see him move, so I know for a fact he wasn't shopping at that time. At least I hope he wasn't. But that was just a situation where you're out of position, you're giving Yamin kills, you've done all this work to keep Emilito down in the early game, and then you put Morrigan up a kill. Mr. Nazer won't be happy about that, because he's the one that's going to deal with it more often than not, as will Dalo.
And that's just superior warding from NRG. I'm a little surprised with how aggressive Draco Marino is playing, that they're not invested, you know, that 120 into a sentry ward over there to try and limit some of that warding. And Yaman just knows they're backing. He walks right up.
But then you're guessing on where to put the sentry ward too. And if you get it wrong, then you've wasted the gold. You're not going to get the ward vision cleared out either. And there's also probably a deeper ward that you've not realized too that can come into play there. Best news about watching teams like NRG who lose the early game, because they have technically lost the first few minutes of the game. You can see that by the gold lead now and how much of the jungle experience they're behind. It's not a lot, but watch what they do. They buy more wards, they recognize the issue, they try and adjust to the issue and make differences. Notice how Warchi in this position that Emelito's in right now was still trying to go and farm. He was sat at his tier 1 tower, trying to farm, trying to keep it up. Whereas Emelito's like, you know what? I know if I go there, I'm going to have a bad time. So as long as I don't lose my life and the rest of the team keeps on doing what they're doing, we should be okay. Because they do have a tanky lineup as this game goes on, NRG Esports. So even if they do lose their, their Chronos for now, look at what else they've got. 3 frontline tanks. That's really important. And when you look at Pappy's squad, they've only got 1 full-on frontliner in Creed.
They'll be feeling that double assassin comp come the late game for sure when they don't have that reliable and easily applied crowd control you normally get out of having a support over there, at least another frontline presence. So at this point, last game, maybe a little bit later on, you're right, we did see Warchi fall to like 0-3-0. He'd given up a good bit as there's more aggression on that solo lane side of the map, looking to invade our NRG.
Oh, Nasus, though, he's in trouble too. Dharmic Pillars forces the Aegis to slow through. Yamin will get it over the wall, though. Right-hand side, you saw the invade attempt on the mini-map there, but here comes a rotation from Warchi towards mid to help out. He has to fall back, but the speed buff B is still being looked at by NRG.
And that's a big kill for NRG in the mid lane because, as you said, it does force Warchi out to give Emelito some farm, but Maniac's the one that's in trouble. Pulled back in, and the ultimate committed from Dalo to even our kills up here at 2-2 as Adapting commits his as well.
This is good work from Pappies, and notice the difference this game, how well Pappies are playing, because they're not going to deficit at the beginning of the game. They didn't immediately get invaded and lose their buffs. They didn't immediately lose their Hunter and be out of the fight. It's NRG that have had that issue, so it's Pappies that have the advantage. And because of that, you see them winning these trades, in even trades too. That was a straight up 2v2 between Maniac and Adapting versus Creed and Dalo, and they're both relatively equal level.
Based on their comp, though, don't the Pappies kind of have to get the early game or kind of win the early game, as we see Emelito's beads forced out?
Well, they do. They need to get off to a good start, especially with having assassins, but they're still in trouble on this left-hand side. Yamin's coming in. Draco Marino ults a minion, but so did Yamin, and Yamin ticks on to Draco Marino. He'll live, only just, but Warchi might be a different story if Yamin can just get in range.
Not quite able to catch back up with Warchi is Yamin, but this is the problem with picking Circuit with Morgan still available. Now you have to play against what Mr. Nazer ultimate comes out. The shield from Raffler was enough to keep him alive. Mr. Nazer wants to keep aggressing.
And look at the rotations coming out from both teams there. Nice little fight. Love the work ethic of Yamin trying to come in and help this team out on the left-hand side, but they don't find anything. What they do find, though, is by doing that, Emelito actually gets a bit of farm. Bad news is Raff is stealing some too.
Well, that's what we saw that come earlier in the fight when they get the pick onto Mr. Nazer in mid lane, and they pulled Warchi away. Getting that far for Emelito. If NRG can stay competitive on the other sides of the map, they open it up for Emelito. Draco and Warchi, though, hanging around trying to find a pick.
He had to hit the honey there. If they would have connected the honey, Warchi, Emelito would have had to rewind absolute minimum, because Draco Marino would have got in range, been able to get at least the kiss off, which would have kept him in place for some more damage and forced a rewind out, especially with his bead still being on cooldown. Emelito got lucky then, thanks to a small mistake from Warchi.
NRG's red buff is the next buff that we're going to be seeing coming up here on the map, as they Poppies do get some pressure in mid lane, but Nazer's backing off, Draco Marino's backing off as well. So that means it shouldn't be too hard for NRG to confirm it, but will they be putting it on Yamin at this point, since he's the one that can actually fight, or on the Emelito to sort of make up for how he's a little behind?
Well, I'm looking at Yamin too a little bit more here when we talk about this, because he's actually gone for that nice little mask at the start of the game on purpose. Rangdars, hang on a second, Draco Marino, a bit too cheeky this one, Sunshine. There's 3 members here, now he stole it, you know, and he's going to get out.
Dharmic Pillars committed, and he can't walk back through them. He's worried it would be enough to claim his life, and it does bring him very, very low. But he also gets the buff, and using that Circuit mobility, he's out of there.
Calculated. That's all it was. Absolutely calculated. He knew he was going to get it and get away too. But going back to it, the thing that I like about the Rangdar's mask on Yamin here, he knows his team's behind, so this game could go longer, so he might get a lot of kills. Creed, though, under pressure, but with Dalo waiting in the wings, it forces NRG back just for a moment.
Creed playing very patiently despite getting chunked out by Yamin. Yamin transforms into Circuit, which has been his favorite transformation so far, and forces Dalo to back out. I think Draco Marino would have preferred to get Yamin with that ultimate, but he doesn't. Mr. Nazer commits his ultimate in the fight as well.
This fight is crazy now, but nobody's going to die because of the way the ultimates all ended up going off. Draco Marino's too healthy, and Adapting can't really do much on a Raven, which I'm still not sold on Raven jungle, man. I like all the pros love it, but every time I see it, he just seems to farm and exist. And it'll be one team fight where he may ult in and get a good ultimate off and then make an impact because of the reduced damage that it's going to take. You know, like, that's about it. I don't really like Raven jungle. It just doesn't do enough for me.
Well, that was very close to being a kill for Poppies on their side of the map. Draco Marino just a little bit off the mark, and that's something we've been seeing from Sirket over on this dual lane side too, with both of them ulting minions, which I very much think was not the plan. So maybe just a little bit of... There's a lot happening in these teamfights, a lot happening.
And the big thing with Poppies now is that they got this lead, but the problem is they're not been able to strangle out NRG the same way NRG did last game.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is that when Poppies have started to get some pressure into the enemy jungle, NRG have been given a chance to get back into it and defend these buffs a little bit, so forth. And that's hurting the Poppies more and more, because NRG by this point would be looking towards Gold Furies now with all the pressure that they've had. And instead, Poppies are still looking towards mid Oracles, left Harpies, right Harpies, and buffs in the backside.
It was about 9-1 in the kills at this same mark in Game 1 for NRG after starting very similarly, getting that early lead. So NRG able to make sure that they don't lose as much on the other side of the map. That's what NRG did so well last game, was they could take their aggression from one side of their advantage and influence other ones, as Emilito gets caught out by both Dalo
Good
well
catch on Draco in mid, though, but obviously playing the Sirket just leaps away, live to fight another day. And I feel bad for Emilito there, because he was just catching up there to Warchi. He was at a 1 level difference until his death, and then it became 2 once more. But Emilito's done a good job of catching so far. I mean, if you remember, he was 3 levels at one point, so the stem of bleeding has slowed down. NRG is still hurting, though, but only in the dual lane. Everybody else seems fine.
NRG were also able to get Oracles over here on the Gold Fury, so if Poppies do look to try and get that started up, NRG will at least have vision on it for the time being, as Poppies do have most of the wards on that side. They're over here one more time as Warchi at least to try and contest this red buff, which has been a big focal point for the Poppies so far.
But notice the big difference here between what NRG have done to defend these buffs. They've got there early, and they've also sent superior numbers too. They've sent superior numbers on purpose, because originally Poppies were only really invading with Draco Marino, a little bit of a touch of now and again Warchi would join in, but now that, you know, NRG realize that's a focus from them, they're going to commit. Talking about commits, you saw the curse coming out there straight away from Maniac, and it forced the ultimate out of Creed immediately, as both Yamin and Draco Marino were around the same side.
And Poppies had that ward right on top of Yamin, so he knew that Yamin was there to come in, so he had to use that ultimate to get away, as Yamin could have easily jumped into that fight or even used his ult as they invade on the speed buff one more time.
Look at that speed buff invade too. Remember how we just talked about NRG at their own red buff, how many members they sent? They were there early. Look at how many members of Poppies were late to trying to defend the speed buff. So what ends up happening there? It's contested. Luckily enough, I think Dalos defends it himself, but you know, a 2v3, 2v4, that can turn into a free pick, or the objective being stolen on top of that in some scenarios. You've got to make sure you get to your buffs on time.
It's the difference between putting yourselves in the position for a 50-50, maybe we'll be the ones that take it, and what NRG did, which is, no, this is ours, we've got the numbers, you have to back off. We see that same sort of mindset with these objectives, too. Some of our veterans, or that have been around a long time, they won't take those 50-50s around Portal Demon or Gold Fury. They're looking to set themselves up to where they have the advantage, like Poppies do here. They have a four-member rotation to this side.
Neza? I'm not sure what Neza's doing here. He's like trying to bait people in for a fight, and I don't like it right now, just because of the fact that everybody on both teams are over here, and you don't really want the soul tank in this. She's not got ridiculous amounts of sustaining kick. Granted, she's got a Bancrofts, but it's not going to be enough sustain for her to tank this up and beat him in. But the call seems to be from Poppies. You know what? We want to try and commit to this and force a fight.
This is that 50-50 we were talking about. Poppies are just pulling them in without any kind of real advantage to go in their favor. They're looking to see, though, if anyone from NRG will make a mistake or overcommit. Draco Marino goes in trying to force something to start at the fight, but NRG are playing at the perfect distance, waiting on Poppies to do too much.
Finch, I'm looking at this a little bit more, and I've noticed one thing that I do like the call, the reason Poppies went for that. Look at the relics. Everyone on Poppies has pretty much got their second relic online here, at least more of them do. Whereas you look at NRG, well, it's only adapting with both his relics online. Most of the members have the relic option to go back and buy it, but they don't want to just yet because the Siege of the Gold Fury. Bad news is Poppies, you know, they weren't confident enough in themselves and confident enough in the position they were in to try and take that Gold Fury. I like the idea if that's what the call was. If they noticed that and went for that, that was a right call. I kind of like it now.
NRG do not take the bait, though. They stay in the perfect positioning to force Poppies to back off. At this point, 15 minutes, approaching 16 minutes in the game. The gold is only about 700 in favor of the Poppies. Imolito is still down a couple levels to Warchi, but at this point he's playing it so patiently and looking to get to that late game. But now Poppies are starting that Gold Fury back up. It's already down to half health. But Raffer recognizes it, as does Adapting. They're rotating in. Poppies drop it and instead look for the fight.
But in goes Draco Marino looking for Imolito. Beats falls from him and the rewind too. Warchi, meanwhile, stuck between a rock and a hard place, also known as a Dharmic Pillar. He has to force out to the left-hand side, which leaves poor old Mr. Nazer all alone.
Mr. Nazer's the one that ends up in a bad position. Yemen turning into Cirquet and jumping in. They end up getting a 1-for-1 trade. Raffer for Nazer, but Draco Marino also in a lot of trouble on Cirquet.
Tell you what, that root coming out from Adapting actually saved Draco Marino's life there. If you wouldn't have rooted him, the Chronos damage would have come out from Imolito, secured the kill, and popped the poison once more. In the end, though, only a 1-for-1. Good work from Mr. Nazer, though, to at least answer back his own death to keep it at least even for a moment.
NRG probably still come out a little bit better since it is the mid laner for the Poppies that ends up falling only their support on the side of NRG. So that'll be a moment where perhaps Yaman can get a little bit of farm advantage, or Imolito won't have to worry about a rotation as he notices Warchi trying to start this Gold Fury back up and Adapt and saying, not right now, not happening here.
And that's the classic thing with the Hives here. The Hives are so good. They do give a bit of ward vision, as you already know, and you just throw it over in the Gold Fury pit, which means you've always got a guaranteed ward whether you lose Oracles or not every time. Adapting goes over, clears it out, rightfully so. Always clear a Hive if you see one. But it only takes 2 seconds to put a new one down, and then you're back in the same spot.
Imolito happy to come back over and have a little bit of free farm while Warchi takes those camps in the mid lane. He's going back over to try and slow down him a little bit, but Maniac happy to continue to take this farming trade on the right-hand side with Creed. They're happy to keep Slapbox.
I'm talking about slowing it down. It'll slow down again for a second. No Gold Fury fights for a minute or two, just because both mid laners used both relics in that last engagement. Neither one of those mid laners will be like, guys, I don't want to fight right now. Like, give me 60 seconds and we can talk about it, you know? Let's just have a look in 60 seconds, but I don't fancy doing it now. I say that, but Nazer's like, you know what? I'm down for a gold.
Doesn't slowing the game down, though, have to be largely in favor of NRG here?
Can be either way, but Warchi, he wants the game to slow down right now, at least the amount of people in his lane, because he's nearly dead.
Warchi in a lot of trouble. Adapting, end up getting the final credit for it. Mr. Nazer commits the ultimate. It does get some damage onto Raffer and Adapting, but they're happy to take their 1-for-0 trade. Poppy's now 4 against 5.
And now it's going to be NRG that may look towards the Gold Fury. They'll get the Oracles for sure. Consider it for a minute, but they'll be a little bit worried that Poppies will look to try and continue the engagement, especially when the relics are down. And solo laners fighting in mid with Yamin wrapping around the back.
Yamin was here to make it a 2v1. Yamin actually turns into Robin and goes up and straight back down. The sprint comes out so they can continue the chase, but Raffer doesn't have enough to finish it off. Adapting didn't want to give up on it, though.
No, he didn't. But at the end of the day, they're forced to, just because Creed's in such a safe spot. Left-hand side, though, Draco up against Imolito here, and Draco's not really enjoying that anymore. He was enjoying it in the early game as an assassin, but he won't now that Imolito's got a couple of sustain items online, specifically the main one, the Bancroft's Talent.
Imolito won that fight front to back, still sitting on top of that rewind as well, so that wasn't even forced out. Warchi rotating back over to catch that minion wave as Nazer takes some slaps in the face from Adapting in the mid lane. Get some good poke back as well.
And now that we're 20 minutes in, you can start to just not talk so much about the difference between Warchi and Chronos.
Right.
You know why? Look at net worth. Look at the level difference. And how far behind was Imolito at one point in time? He's
like
not done
3
anything.
levels, it felt
He's
like.
0-2-2. It's not like he got 1,000 kills since then. It's just like he's just done his best to stay alive, and his team have helped him back into it.
And Warchi also chooses to use his lead to go for this high to the Urchin, so he is going to be a little bit tankier, but he's given up on damage. You're right. Everybody on the side of the Poppies choosing to go at that high to the Urchin, so that's another reason why things are probably slower.
So, these high to the Urchins, right? What they actually do is they shut down a lot of the Warrior's damage output. That's what it's about. Shuts down the Warrior damage output, because a Warrior against the high to the Urchin makes it very tricky, even against a Squishy, to solo them 100 to 0. Very, very tricky to do that. And if they try and commit for the 100 to 0, there should be rotations from your team to get in support. So with NRG having 2 Warriors on this team, these How to the Urchins mean that they're not going to do as much damage as you'd expect, because generally the Warriors will build tankier. Notice, however, that Adapting, well aware of this How to the Urchin potential strategy, goes for a damage option with his build on Raven, which causes some problems.
Draco Marino in trouble, lurking around the duo lane side jungle. He was looking to see if he and Warchi could force an overcommit from Imolito in lane, but Imolito does not bite.
Ooh.
As Adapting does choose to bite. He jumps in on top of Dalo, doesn't manage to hit anybody with that ultimate, but at least forces them both back.
I love what Adapting did there. Ulted in place, missed it, and went, you know what, let's just go farm. Like, The fight's over there. Can't continue committing. I like the idea behind it, though, getting a bit of pressure off. 4-4, though. No real difference between the two. Pappies have done great work in this early game. Like, they've looked really solid here. This is scary how good Pappies have come along since last split.
Poppies are looking good here in this game so far, staying even with NRG. But you got to consider that it was their pressure that they had from the beginning of the game. Yep. So now that it's back to even, it kind of feels like it's starting to go more in NRG's favor as it goes on and on.
Well, this is also about who adapts to the meta the quickest, too. That's what always happens when small shifts in the meta change, like mid-season. Who changes things up the most? Who's the ones that are going to correct and go with the flows better? NRG were great for it for two years in a row. That's why they're world champs. This year, different story. They've not been as quick on the meta uptake as some of the other teams, and that's why they've been seen to be human these days compared to last.
And now Poppy's in a position where they're not sure where to go next on the map. They keep coming back over to this dual lane to try and get something onto Imelito, but I don't think that's where
the window's closed.
Yeah, I agree. That's not really where their advantage is anymore. They need to force a fight onto one of these objectives and try and get some picks off it, which they were a little bit cautious about committing to earlier.
So funny enough, what the pick should be for Pappies here, realistically, is maybe start going for Adapting. Trying to pick off Adapting here because he's gone for a damage build.
Right.
Damage build on a warrior, fantastic damage output. Not the greatest in terms of survivability. Obviously, it is a Raven, though, that's doing this. When we talk about survivability, the ultimate and the overhead kick gets you out of so many tough situations.
Gets you out of a lot, yeah.
But if you keep him on the back foot and having those on cooldown the whole time, you can't really engage and deal the damage he's looking to, which means you're still doing the job anyway.
It's a good point. It's not always about necessarily getting the kills, but just forcing out those important cooldowns from Adapting could essentially take him out of the teamfight and give them the same advantage that they were looking for. So that's one more area that could be the focus for them. But NRG, what are we looking for their focus to be? Just continue to farm it out, or should they be pushing the issue anywhere on the map?
We mentioned about the longer this game goes on, there's plenty of hyper carries in this game, for sure. Hang on a second, this call. I wish they would have committed for that, but they were a little bit too worried about Adapting, seeing that earlier on. Nobody really, though, from NRG were in position too quickly, and they could have looked to put a little bit more pressure in, maybe bring Adapting in, and we were talking about maybe focusing Adapting here. Make Adapting try and commit to slow them down, maybe, you know?
It's not as if they don't have vision on that side as well. They got 2 wards down there, so they saw the commitment wasn't too hard from NRG.
But going back to what you were saying, what we should see from NRG here, farm it out, because their late game is really strong too.
Yes.
Obviously, with having the year-long Shen, he's going to be doing a lot of work on the front lines as time goes on, gets tankier and tankier, harder to kill. Then you got Yamin, who can go, okay, who's the strongest character in the game at this point in time? I'm going to play that. Then you've got Imelito playing Kronos, and you mentioned at the start of the cast in Picks and Bans, you know, they've got a world skin for a reason on this character. Yeah. Both of them can play it very, very well. So you could have Yamin on Kronos and Imelito on Kronos at the exact same time if they wanted to. Their game is solid. They can just farm it out, because one other thing they have over Pappies is late game experience in difficult sets.
Dalo has decided to go in. He tries to get the pull-off ultimate from Mr. Nazer. Immediately comes out. Yamin's very low, and Creed ends up getting the credit for that first kill.
Big pick onto Yamin there, and Pappies not sure what they want to do now. Draco's going to be a little bit later at the fight, but he is tanky still, as we mentioned, the Hide of the Urchin, as well as the Genji's there coming into play a little bit more. And now with this 4v5, they can look for the Gold Fury, but NRG still have all their ultimates available here outside of Rafa's.
Gold Fury does seem to be the call from the Poppies. They have it, continuing to leash it. They give it back up. They pulled a little bit, win off, trying to get a pick off in middle lane, but maybe not win for the commit from NRG quite enough yet, as now they're going to have to back off, as the 4 members of NRG do have strong positioning.
It's like, basically the issue with Pappies is they find the pick, but they don't find the win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like fighting the war. The war is the Gold Fury. They didn't win the war, but they did win the skirmish. That's all it was. And now we're in a situation where Pappy's like, but we want to win the war. Bad news is Yamin's back up and on his way back now, and they're still trying to look at this Gold Fury.
And they are doing, as you're saying, they're having Mr. Nazer be the one that's pulling it rather than Warchi. And his Maniac goes in and gets the taunt off on the 2 members. Warchi does commit the ultimate onto Maniac. Dharmic Pillars come out from Raffer to try and lock down Creed for the moment. It's enough to force them to back off. And as you said, Yamin's lurking in that mid lane, ready to be a part of the fight again.
Why are Pappies backing out here? They just chipped down away at 2 members, almost 3. Maniac at half health, Raffer way below health. They should be looking to commit on the Gold Fury then. Instead, they just back away. So all this pressure that we just saw around this Gold Fury, think about it. Yamin was the only one that died. In that entire engagement, or all around the Gold Fury, just Yamin died. Is that a big enough win for the Pappies? No, not at all. And in the end, it's a reset, which means NRG are staying absolutely even in this game.
They are. It's a matter of like 100 or so gold right now that separates this team. I mean, it's really nothing at 25 minutes into the game. They're even. But again, with the comp that NRG has, if NRG and Poppy are even, then Poppies are a little behind.
This is just so cool to see Poppies play this way, though. I mean, even though I'm calling out of the small mistakes they're making, it's because they're improving.
Yes.
Normally, you don't get a chance to say that about them because they're not having the greatest games or making mistakes that they shouldn't be making. Now they're making less of those mistakes, but now they need to learn how to capitalize on when they're winning. And against world champs, if you can do that, you're going to be a top 4 team for sure.
And that might be a little bit of it too. You might not be as cautious pulling that gold for if you're not staring down 2-time world champion NRG.
I mean, we can see it in the 2-time world champion, but it's also the nosebleed thing too. I call it the nosebleed situation where it's like, oh my god, I'm winning. Oh god, what do we do when I'm winning? I'm having a nosebleed. Why is my nose bleeding? Because I'm so excited that we're winning. And like, that's the issue that you can fall into and get baited into a couple of times of, hey, you are just as good as them, you know? You are in the Pro League too. You can still play at their level and do the things. Just have the self-confidence. Have the self-confidence and keep up the pace you're going at.
Poppies still have 4 members over here on the gold tree, so even though they haven't pulled it, they haven't given up on this side of the map. This is where they want to have their aggression.
There's going to be a commit now. Look at Creed coming over too. Creed's going to try and keep adapting busy in mid-pressure that. Gold Fury started up, chipped away quickly. Now the zone comes out from Poppies. This is better. Zone them away, so Gold Fury's going to get secured by the Poppies.
Yemen, though, rotates along the backside of the fight as Nazer is the one that secures the Gold Fury. Now Yemen getting turned on, though. He is playing as Robin, so he's very tanky. He's able to make it through Creed, jumping in on top of Maniac, because Maniac wants to keep going and try and get something for this aggression.
Leave Creed. Just leave him. Let him die. Goodbye, sweet prince. You will be missed. But yet again, we talked about it before in game 1 when Poppies were behind. Give him up, you know? Give him up. Sometimes you just got to let your front line die and make sure you get away with it. NRG do respond with managing to get hold of that red buff on the left-hand side. Bad news is all the Poppies wanted to return to base, so they gave their mid tower up pretty much here. So NRG in the end actually answered that back immediately in terms of the gold that was just gained by the Poppies.
And it doesn't look like they're done yet as they rotate over towards the Portal Demon. Mr. Nazer, though, recognizing he couldn't be a part of the fight, at least gets tier 1 in duo lane side, and it ends up being a kill, the tower, and the red buff for the Gold Fury. So NRG do a good job cutting down some of that trade.
I'd love Nazer to keep going here, but the tier 2 towers are a little bit tankier than they used to be. Remember that. So it takes a lot longer to bring it down. You need a few more minions in your side to really bring it down. It's like a wave and a half now to really kill a tier 2 tower. Instead, it's Poppies fighting at the Portal Demon.
It was Maniac who started this fight off, but it was Adapting who finishes off Dalo. Draco Marino falls to Imelito as well as the Poppies come back in to try to start the Portal Demon, but give up too.
John, where were Nazer and Creed then?
Not as a part of that fight. Nazer was over in duo lane trying to split push.
And Creed was in base, right?
Yeah.
And you take a fight when you don't know where everybody on NRG is. So you take a 5v3 fight, small mistake.
They knew a good bit of energy were there. Energy initially started the Portal Team.
They've not been punished this second, but with how the map is looking right now, this should be a chance for NRG just to walk straight to the Portal Demon and take it. And if Poppies want to fight, they're going to fight a 3v5. And we just saw what happens in a 3v5.
And that is what the call was for NRG. They went and got a little bit of vision control, then they backed up and started pulling it. Maniac and Raffer are the ones on zoning duty, trying to keep Creed away from contesting this. Only Mr. Nazer and Creed are even on this side of the map, and Portal Demon does go down in favor of NRG, and things are starting to swing a little bit further in NRG's favor now.
I'm not saying swing in, it's still even.
Or momentum, rather.
Momentum potentially, yeah, that's a better call, because like, you can't say it's swinging in their favor when the gold's still slightly in Poppy's favor here. We did talk about late game, and we mentioned NRG's late game is pretty good. Well, let's be honest. I mean, AMC and Sol on the same team, I'm not going to be upset about their late game whatsoever. Warchi will absolutely shred through the front line of NRG as the game goes on, because AMC is he's a real hyper carry. You know, he's the likes of a Jabalonke in the late game too. One of the reasons people like to play him is because his late game can be so absolutely impactful, but he's got to get there first. And
he is looking to put some crit in that build, so he'll definitely be putting some damage out on the likes of Raffer, or not Raffer, but Amelito and Yemen, the squishier characters. Poppies, though, looking to try and have a bit of a fight over here on the right-hand side, get this minion wave pushed up, but NRG in a position where they could collapse. Raffer isn't able to grab anyone with that dash in, but does back off.
Classic, good play from Poppies, though, just to not get baited in by Raffer being out of position there, because Raffer committed, made a couple of mistakes. There's some pressure from Raffer again on Creed, though. Creed traps in the square, that forces the ult out of Dalo. In goes Draco Marino to the backside, looking for some extra damage, but Draco's going to get out, and in goes onto Creed, the whole of NRG.
Creed's the one that's in a lot of trouble. trouble as Raffer continues to push the issue. Mr. Nazer does a good job separating the team fight with his ultimate, and that's what gives Poppies a chance to back off now. NRG look to want to take this tier 1.
And they should be able to get it soon with Emilito too. Over the wall though comes Adapt, and Emilito cleans up Mr. Nazer, and that's more pressure because this could be looking for a tier 2 now.
Pin from Maniac as well as the knock-up sets up the damage to clean that kill up nicely. Tier 1 tower falls. Tier 2 tower now in trouble as well as Draco Marino has to back, and there is no Mr. Nazer to be a part of this engagement. NRG taking this solo lane side handily.
I tell you what, Smite is such a complex game because the moment you get through the mid game and you look, through the early game, you work out, okay, we won the early game. Then you get to the mid game, and you're like, okay, we're even in the mid game, and then you're like, okay, we're in late game. How often do you really get to see late game games go? You don't get them that often. It's very hard to replicate in scrims to a late game scenario. So when you get in them, the only time you're ever going to get them is in some scrims, now and again if they go long enough, or competitive play. One thing NRG have got, they have that experience. They've been in before. We've seen so many games go that way. Have Poppies really had that many games go late where they've been even? They've had games go late where they've been behind. They've never had games go late when they've been ahead or even at this stage. And NRG are just showing how good and how much they know about how to get back into it.
That's what happens when you go up against the experience of two-time world champions like NRG who've just been around the block. Two-time.
We gotta stop saying it, man.
Hey, man. Unless someone takes those championships away from them, they got them, man.
So you're like an honorary EU here, John Finch. Like, yeah.
Hey, well, I was born overseas, so hey.
Well, you were?
I was indeed. It looks like NRG, though, recognizing they've got an advantage here at the Gold Fury.
Where were you born?
No one from Poppies are around, so NRG, just take it. I was actually born in Japan, so not EU, but I was born overseas.
Okay. Oh, wow, man, your teams are awful. The closest team we got, the closest two teams we got to the Japanese team is like China. And Allied always told us China was #1, but I've not seen it. And then we've also got Australia, who can't even get out of bed.
Then I'll rep Asia at HRX then, okay? Since I was born, I'll
okay. Well, Southeast Asia will be at HRX. Yeah. You can rep them.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get to laugh at you.
We'll run through all of you. We're going to put up Thor's hammer. We'll put it up.
You sure?
No.
I get to laugh at you the way I'm going to laugh at Husey when Australia play again. Like, it's going to be so... I'm looking forward to it.
NRG are the ones laughing as now they're with a 3,000 gold lead. Actually closer to 4,000 thanks to picking up that Gold Fury. And just like that, it feels like NRG are the ones who are... We said earlier, the momentum's starting to swing a little bit further
and you were right,
in their
momentum
favor.
Did swing. It has swung now. The fight in the duel in the solo lane there that you saw was a straight up 5v5. And NRG just off the back of the last fight in the Portal Demon were like, now we can fight these boys. And Pappy's like, oh no, they feel confident. We don't want them to have that. And those momentum shifts do hurt. So now we're in a position of evenness.
Now, is this a position where Poppies might actually feel a little bit more comfortable? Like you said, maybe they're not as experienced fighting in a position where they're the ones dictating the pace, but now they can play a little more reactionary, and they're not too far behind.
Sure, but the difference is how reactionary you play.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between being monstrous amounts behind and a small amount behind. And if you play it where you're monstrous amounts behind, you're going to give up more than you should, which makes it a monstrous lead.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just slightly behind, you've got to be careful. And right now, like, look at them. They're starting the Fire Giant, messing around with it, Mr. Nazer. Shows that they're not doing that, which is good. Mid lane's a bit of a fight going on. Morrigan's in trouble potentially here. Yamin caught out and dead.
That's a huge pickup for Dalo in the middle lane. Now it's a 5v4. The very important Morrigan taken away from NRG without even getting a chance to use that ultimate. Both relics are going to be on cooldown when Yamin responds as well. And Poppies turn back towards the Portal Demon, now doing a good job playing like they're very even with the world champs.
Now what they're going to do is got to deal with the issue of NRG splitting them apart with the Darming Pillars coming in too. Paul Demon goes to NRG. In goes Adapting. Draco Marino forced out. Warchi's running for his little B life as the rest of his team have to turn tail too.
This is a 4v5, then NRG looks like it's a 5v4. They are able to take the Portal Demon and push the Poppies away from that Fire Giant pit. Now it's Adapting who's up front, trying to establish a bit of a front line as they can go back and come right back in.
So the biggest thing about the Portal Demon start there is the fact that you're dealing with 2 members of NRG on the right-hand side, 2 members of NRG on the left-hand side. When I say right, I mean speed buff side of the right of the speed buff and left of the speed buff from mid. You got 2 and 2. Your frontliners want to just defend one area if possible. Both frontliners ended up defending the left, which meant the guys on the right had a chance to get in as well and cause some problems. It's either commit and try and keep them at bay, or commit to the Portal Demon, keep them at bay, or commit to a team fight. They didn't do either, they lose both.
Instead, they allow Raffer and Adapting to be the ones initiating that team fight. The Dharmic Pillar was placed perfectly by Raffer right there in between those two blocks at the Fire Giant pit, and it had them trapped where they had to back off. They secure the Portal Demon, and they keep on pushing. And that was without Yaman, Hindu. That's bad news for Poppies if they can't handle a 4v5. Now with Yaman back here and ready to go one more time, it's NRG with the aggressive positioning and the vision control. Look at all those sentries around the Fire Giant.
But NRG have to play careful again because we just saw how quickly Yaman got picked, and they've got to be careful because they've got a lot of their relics on cooldown, at least a couple of them. Important ones mainly being both of Yaman's here.
Yes.
So yeah, he's got his ultimate available, but he's got to be careful about his positioning as Adapting will keep Dalo honest a little bit in that mid lane. You can see both Dalo and Draco Marino using these assassins to look for Yaman every single time, and I love that play. Take out Yaman and leave Emily, because you can't focus both. It's not possible. Pick one, take him out.
But that's what we're seeing here, and I think from their double assassin comp, they are going to be better at getting these picks, but it's something that could have them struggling when an actual team fight breaks out as the Fire Giant's down to half health.
Well, in comes Draco Marino, rooted in place by Adapting, knocked up and then silenced. Draco has no beads to get away from all this damage, so he's forced out completely with both his escapes. The good news is it did force NRG to reset the Fire Giant for a moment, but for how long is the question?
They only give up some health there for Raffer in that last engagement. Now they're going to turn back to the Fire Giant. Raffer uses the Dharma Pills to try and catch out Ward Chi, but it's Raffer the one that's in a lot of trouble. Draco Marino gets the ultimate and pushes him back towards the damage from Mr. Nazer so that Dalo can take the credit.
Dalo's ult was fantastic there, but Dalo's running from Emilito and does just that. Rewind out of him, but a huge damage burst out of Mr. Nazer causes problems for NRG on the front side, but not enough to stop them. It's Pappies that are running for their lives. They're all at low health here. Creed was trying to lazy back, but he's been caught out by two. Yamin takes out Mr. Nazer at the same time, and Creed just trying to buy himself a minute, but not long enough.
NRG are happy to make the trade of Raffer for Creed, Mr. Nazer, and Warchi. As soon as Warchi went down, we saw Poppies back off in the engagement, and NRG smelled the blood in the water, continued to press their advantage. Now it's Adapting, trying to zone out Draco Marino as Emilito continues to chunk away at this Fire Giant. Draco Marino blinks in to try and contest it, but he's too early. A lot of escapes on Draco Marino, so he's able to get on it.
Classic support, though. Once again, you got to try and make the play. You know, you're not going to win the game on your own, but you might be able to take the Fire Giant or get someone killed in it to make sure they don't get it. Bad news, they can't manage it. At least he lives. So now NRG, they are officially now in the driving seat of this game.
NRG do decide, though, that they cannot wait 4 more seconds for Raffer. They take the Fire Giant for everyone else, and I'm sure they're laughing at me.
I tell you what now, right? even if Raffer was about to come up and they weren't going to get contested, they still would have done it. They still wouldn't have waited for him.
Oh, no,
because it's Raffer.
Yeah.
That's why they were like, nah.
That was my whole point, yeah. I think they could have waited 4 seconds, yeah.
But to be fair, like in those situations, you don't wait for people.
Sure.
Because you know you're getting pressured a little bit and there's always a chance of a steal. If you know someone's hanging around lurking, don't risk it. Just take the Fire Giant. Even if it's a carry waiting in the base to respawn, it's tough. You shouldn't have died in the first place, and it's better to get the buff and make sure you don't lose it trying to hold on for a teammate to respawn.
NRG do still have lots of structures on this map to take care of. They did push through the solo lane side and take Tier 1 and Tier 2, but both towers and duo are remaining. Tier 2 and mid is remaining as well. Looks like duo lane is the call to go to the lane furthest from the Fire Giant and try and split the focus of Poppies if there is another Fire Giant dance.
It's also because there was 2 towers to take here too, which means it's double the income, double as quick, you know? Obviously one tower's worth more, a little bit more than the other, but now it's up to the Phoenix Siege, and with 2 being shown on the right-hand side still, they may want to commit quicker. Draco Marino, though, sneaky
He's
little
lurking.
Sucker.
Draco Marino with the Tom Clancy not working so well for him, though. He has to end up backing off. NRG are okay with that so far. They're willing to just back up, re-engage. In fact, looks like they want to come take this Tier 2 in mid first and then push in.
Look at last game.
They're fine to do.
Look at last game what NRG did too. They just went and took towers. Like, they didn't want to go and take a siege if they could help it. Get the gold lead. They've not really had one all game, so try and put Pappies on the back foot into a similar position as game 1 now, where they've got a bit of a lead here. It's not as much as like the 10K I was talking about last time when it started, but it's getting there.
Portal Demon also going down the way of NRG Esports, taking as much off the map as they can to limit the chance for Poppies to try and get a little bit of return gold and even things back up. We are 40 minutes into the game, so the gold lead isn't going to be super impactful here after a few more minutes. 11-7, though, NRG sits up in the kills and about 10K in gold.
And that's all about the potion situation now. That's all it'll be, is like who's got the biggest power potions that they can get hold of. The 3K elixirs potentially, and then war coverage too. One thing I'm interested in is when Yamin decides to get rid of that Ragnar's mask. Because that mask is amazing. But normally the biggest issue you get in games that go this long is that you almost feel like you should be selling it to replace it with a bigger item, but then you get so much mobility, you get so much penetration, and it's so good that you're like, do I trade it out? Do I keep it? So I want to see how Yamin chooses to use this. Does he keep it the whole time? It looks like he's doing so now, but if the game continues going for another 10-15 minutes, whether he thinks it's more worthwhile than another different item.
And those hiding the urchins on the side of the poppies aren't super stacked up at this point. 2 or 3 stacks at most. There haven't been very many kills since they bought them. Warchi, though, gets taunted in by Maniac, but Draco Marino jumps in to try and help alleviate some pressure, but immediately the ultimate Dharmic Pillars come out from Raffer. Raffer now having to back up as the rewind comes out from Emilito as well. Dalo cleans Raffer up in the back line, and now it's NRG with some low health bars.
Yeah, they have to turn tail now and run, but the Fire Giant will regen all of them outside of Raffer. Obviously, they lose Raffer causes so many problems. Good pull from Dalo, though, with a blink over the wall to pick up Maniac, and blink from Draco going to get adapting to force his own blink too back to safety. Pappies with 2 members of NRG dead. Hello? Could we see him get a Phoenix here? I think they could.
That was such a big fight for the Poppies, getting a 2-for-0 trade. Phoenix looks pristine, as if there was never any damage from energy on it in the first place.
Oh my.
Tier 1 tower in mid crumbles to the ground. Tier 2 is shortly to follow. Only Emilito in position to start making the defense. I'm sure he'll let this Tier 2 go, and they'll look to defend the Phoenix if they push that far.
They've got no minions. That's the only reason I would have said go for Phoenix mid, but they've got no minions. And by the time those minions get down there, it's a little bit too close with Raffer going to be back up, and then when Raffer's there, it's 4v5. Then add in the fact that Maniac could be up a few seconds after that. So go take the tier 2 on left instead. I like it. Evens the gold up a little bit more, even though gold's not that important. The objective itself, though, is important because it exposes the Phoenixes to be taken next time round if NRG make the same mistakes.
This way, if Poppies are able to take another win, they'll have a much clearer path towards their objective in the end without having to worry about Tier 1 towers still up on the map. Just goes to show how well NRG had stalled out the game through the mid-game, that all those structures were still standing for them. NRG regrouping around that Fire Giant, which is only 10 minutes away from respawning.
10 minutes?
Or 10 seconds.
10 minutes?
You know, we're 42 minutes into the game.
What kind of Fire Giant do you think this is? 10-minute respawn timers?
We're 42 minutes here into the game here, Hindu. Cut me a little bit of slack.
No.
Just a little bit.
This is a standard EU game. You don't get no slack cut now.
This is a standard EU game. Maybe a little while ago, but EU has been a little more competitive here lately, Hindu, I feel.
What, recently?
Yeah.
EU's been competitive forever. If you're talking
EU
about,
has the better teams, but between the teams in that region, I think it's gotten a lot more competitive.
There you go. That's the adjustment you got to make there. Is because, yeah, I agree. Poppies are stepping up. Burrito are going to keep trying to get there.
Look where Elevate is.
But look at Elevate. Look at Valorant Squadron taking place against teams that they would have potentially beat before. Rival dropping games to the likes of Poppies.
I misspoke earlier. I said that EU was the better region. The real better region is Southeast Asia. As we established earlier in the game, NRG do take down the Fire Giant.
Do you know a single player in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, you don't know Durayo? Yeah, he's on a really good team.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
Is it a really, really good team?
Look it up, Hindu.
Cool. Yeah. What's his god pool like?
His god pool. He plays Yamin. Well, he got a lot of good guys in his god pool.
Is Yamin a playable
He plays
character
just
now?
like Yamin, basically. He's a Southeast Asia Yamin.
Okay. I would have said Youngbei. Do you know who Youngbei is?
I do, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Youngbei plays for the Southeast Asia teams?
Youngbei used to be in EU, yeah.
There you go. You would have had a talking point. You would have seemed really intelligent, but instead you look like an idiot.
I look like someone who loves Southeast Asia. No one out there can fact check me on it because there's only about 12 of them.
Hey, I tell you what, if Southeast Asia have Yamin as a playable character, I'm pretty sure there's something wrong over there.
I'm pretty sure they'd be winning a lot more often if they had Yamin as a playable character. It looks like NRG wants to try and win this game. They got the Fire Giant around their waist. Draco Marino laying in wait. Don't you just love having Circuits in your game, Hindu?
I mean, sometimes.
When you're Circuit, I guess, maybe.
I don't play Circuit.
But look at this. I mean, this is what's so frustrating about her. She ends up having to give it up, though, as NRG decide to come down this duo lane side instead. They've got the minion wave with them, too, so they'll be able to start pushing right when they group up. And look at the split push that's forced out here. Dalo and Draco Marino have to go over to the mid lane to stop the minions, and there's 5 from NRG here.
We mentioned this in the game before about Sieges, and the Sieges defense is good. Warchi's the one that they're going to focus on. They're still doing it once more, but Rapid juggled up, and Emilito on the run means that Maniac's the last one left alive at the Phoenix, forced the rewind out of Emilito too. Great defense again out of the Pappies.
3 ultimates used on both sides. They'll still be able to fight again, but Adapting and Yemen, perhaps 2 of the most impactful for NRG, are still available, as Yemen's can still transform into anyone he chooses and get a whole new rotation of skills. Draco Marino was in the backside of that fight, and because he's that mobile, Serket was able to jump back out without too much coming out on him.
Still a good chance for NRG here, though. Keep an eye on Adapting. He'll be the real engage here with the ultimate. He'll look towards Warchi. There you go. Didn't find it, though, and this may force NRG back once more.
Imelito gets blown up immediately. Adapting now the one who's also in trouble. Mr. Nazer, or rather Yemen, who's also on a soul, commits the ultimate to try and help out, but Warchi gets Adapting as well. Another strong defense, 2 for 0. Phoenix still stands.
And the reason it still stands is take into account you've got a soul and an Amuzan Carb on defense. Fantastic wave clear from both. So you are diving those every single time. And because of the first engagement, there was kind of a wash of energy they had to reset. Everybody on Pappies went, okay, what do we know was used there? Well, the only thing we know that is still up is Adapting's ultimate. That was the only frontline engage they had left, was Adapting's ultimate, or Yamin ult. So right. Adapting is the one that you're worried about being the engage. So as long as they don't find who they're looking for, they'll be okay. Adapting goes in, looks for Warchi, which is definitely the prime target for them to take out. Warchi slips the stream, gets away from the danger, and then the collapse from Pappies goes, okay, go, go, go. Now it's our turn to be on the offensive.
They say go, go, go on the mid lane. Phoenix on their own side here. Only 3 members of NRG are able to defend, and the Phoenix is already very low. Ultimate comes out from Raffer, and that Phoenix is gone, and Pappies are still hanging around.
Tier 2 right. I would have gone tier 2 right here if I was Pappies right now. You got Adapting, dead, and Imelito for a few more seconds. They could have potentially just backdoored the tier 2 right, and I don't think NRG would have really tried to stop them too much at that one, and it wouldn't have lost them anything. They couldn't have gone for another Phoenix, granted, and there's nothing really in the jungle they should be going for here, other than maybe the Portal Demon, but I maybe would have liked to see maybe a little look towards the tier 2 tower, see if we get a response, and maybe they would have found that speed buff and blue buff up, which it is right now.
Speed buff and blue buff are still available. They at least clear up that mid Phoenix. The Phoenix in the dual lane side is available, but on that right side, they still have a tower to worry about if they're able to make another successful defense. 1 minute before the Fire Giant comes up this time here, Hindu Man. Do you think we're going to see NRG aggressing onto it, or Pappies who've made some successful defenses?
Depends who's there first of all, because it's going to take a little bit of time. Like you said, there's another minute yet. So in the world of Smite, a minute is a hell of a long time.
Not quite 10 minutes, but long.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. It's a little bit lower. Maybe on the Southeast Asia servers, it's 10 minutes when you also play as Yamin. So that could be the reason why the Fire Giant's a bit different over there. But yeah, the big key is like who gets in position for the ward coverage first of all. Ward coverage very, very important around this. And it's not the ones actually at the Fire Giant pit, it's the ones, the circling area around that. Look at what Pappies are doing already though. They've warded up the Fire Giant and they're standing right outside that portal going, walk through. Any one of you come through that door, because AMC and Sol will destroy you in seconds. Adapting and the rest of NRG know they're not going to be that silly to walk into that trap just yet.
They've committed a lot of sentry wards on that side, but it looks like there's even still one sitting up for NRG. Perhaps just not to give away that they've got sentry wards in that area while they'll leave it standing, but right now the Pappies are the ones with vision control. Fire Giant is ready to come busting from those chains, and we'll see who's the one that takes him down first, because there's exposed Phoenixes for both teams. This could be the end.
Keep an eye on mid lane. 5 minions pouring down mid consistently. And so somebody from NRG will have to go and defend. What I would like to see is Pappies maybe send someone like Draco Marino. He's not going to be the greatest at pushing, but he can at least help push the minions in and cause a distraction to send someone back to base and then get back to the fight quicker because he's playing a Serket. He's also playing support Serket, which means he's not as impactful as required. Dalo, though, got to commit on Maniac.
Dalo pulls in Maniac, and the Dharma pillars come out right away. The ultimate from Dalo is big and gets followed up by Mr. Nazer to put Maniac into a lot of trouble. Mr. Nazer continuing to push onto Adapting, but it's Maniac that falls.
Oh, Adapting versus the world. This time he's not going to live, though. Nazer's in trouble, and Rafa might look for that one. Yamin and Imelito, though, combining in the back as Yamin goes in. Warchi got cut off from his team, and now Warchi's going to fall down any minute unless Draco can help him. Warchi realizing he can't run away. He has to try and fight, and in the end, the B is dead.
2 for 2 engagement. It ends up being kind of hard to say who is more in favor of. Warchi missing for Pappies is really important, though. Huge DPS for them they don't have, so they'll have to back off and just kind of play it on out.
This is a minute and a half stall now between both teams. There's nothing else that can happen.
I know Warchi falled there, but Dario wouldn't have fallen from Southeast Asia. He would have stayed alive in that engagement.
Oh, would he?
Yeah. He wouldn't have fallen, no.
Would he not?
His positioning is impeccable, Hindu.
Okay. Well, I'll look out for him at the World Championship.
So good, you haven't even seen it yet. That's how
I know,
good
that's why I'm so
positioning
excited about it. This is a little bit risky from Pappy's, though. Just using Draco Marino and Nazer to try and cheekily take it. I like the idea on paper. But with that elephant just watching, there's nothing you can do.
They just give it up. Yeah. Looking to see if anyone from NRG was around to respond. If they weren't, hey, it's free. If so, let's just back up. Nothing lost here.
Do you know what? Pappy's in this game. They have had great games so far this split. This is Pappy's best game.
Yeah.
I really like the way they've played this so far. It's been an interesting style, double assassin composition. If you think about it, when would you expect to see double assassin, a Sol, and a Moose and Cobb on the same team? Like, come on.
Would not have predicted this comp. No.
And then take on the world champs and take him this deep in a game where you're still even. And in my opinion, they might be hiding on gold. They're in a better position because of a weakened Phoenix.
That's right. They're the only ones that have actually taken a Phoenix in this engagement so far. That Phoenix has a respawn, so NRG doesn't have to worry so much about fire minions. But the important thing is Poppies have a much lower threshold if they do win a fight towards winning the game. They'll be able to make that push much easier. But at 51 minutes, the respawn timers will be long for anyone who's sent back to base.
And now it's a Sentry Ward War. You can see Poppies have 3 in their inventory right now. Just going to clear out the wall coverage once more. Dale's a little bit far forward on that right-hand side, and he's got to be careful of Emilito. He will just reposition back to safety as the rest of Pappy's forced back by the pushing versions of NRG Esports, but there's not many sentries in their inventory either for NRG here, so they've got to be careful. But they're trying to force a fight this. This isn't an attempt at fire. This is a force that we want to fight. You have to commit to us, and if you don't, we'll go in.
Adapting, blinks into the backline, trying to make trouble for Warchi. That's been his main focus this whole game. He goes up, comes back down, but this time Dalo's ultimate isn't quite as impactful as it has been before. Maniac very low, but adapting cleans up Mr. Nazer, and he looks to get out scot-free as Emilito takes Warchi 2-0. NRG win that team fight.
So the engagement, the damage dealers are down, so Pappy's going to run. What happened is Warchi gets picked, attacked, he has to disengage himself. Every single time we've seen these fights, though, Dalo's ults have been fantastic.
Yes.
They've been really impactful to stop NRG's assault and give a small space of window for Pappy's to reposition and fight again. That time, his ultimate was off the mark.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest difference between winning and surviving that, sorry, losing and surviving that fight. So Fire Giant goes to NRG, 52 minutes in, 4v5 without the damage dealers, without the ones that can take out the minions. That's why you're in trouble. That's why you're going to lose a Phoenix.
Draco Marino is lurking behind now, looking to try and make a big-time play onto Emilito. He at least does get the poison off, but forced to just back off as NRG move over to the right side Phoenix as well. Creed caught out and blown up right away. And now NRG take down this right side Phoenix as well. And they look to also come in here towards the base. Draco Marino in trouble. He goes forward to try and make some kind of taunt happen, but gets chained down by the Ohm coming out from Raffer. He does jump away, but it's the Titan who wishes he could jump away from all the DPS from NRG. A great set from Poppies, but NRG do get the game at exactly 50.